Hi everyone, this is Migs from Sneaks and Ball PH, and once again I'm with Coach Carl and with Dom, our resident sports analyst. So a little bit late, but better late than never. So we are going to react to Game 5. I actually had the Lakers in 5, and if not for some untoward incidents at the end of the game, I think I would have been right. But we do have Game 6 tomorrow, and I'll go with Coach Carl. What was your biggest takeaway from Game 5 of the NBA Finals?
First takeaway, never mind the collapse down the end of Lakers was probably has to be Jimmy Butler. As Dom mentioned during the previous version of this one, Jimmy Butler was not gonna let them lose, and it was right. Jimmy put off another big time triple double. Now being part of the list of a few players who have multiple triple doubles in the final series, and with how he's played, I still he's gonna be doing this until they lose. They have to find a way to stop him.
Okay.
That's it.
Jimmy Butler is one of those dogs, and we see it on full display now in the NBA Finals. He really hasn't been on this kind of stage. And when you're on this kind of stage, you either shine bright or you kind of hide in the corner. And Jimmy Butler has definitely, put his shine out there for the world to see. And speaking of that last, sort of breakdown, LeBron drove to the basket. He had like 3 people on him, 1 person shadowing, and Iggy kind of roaming. So technically, it was all 10 of the Miami Heat eyes on him. Some people said he should have shot it, which I totally do not agree with. So Dom, take us through that last sequence, the Danny Green missed 3 and the terrible Markeith Morris turnover. I'd just like to hear your thoughts on that.
I mean, it's definitely pretty controversial of what happened. People are divided whether LeBron should have taken that shot or not. To cement his legacy, which is like something I don't really want to get into. But I feel like LeBron did, like as he said in post-game interviews, he did the best thing possible was to just give it up to Danny, and he trusted him. So unfortunately, the shot didn't go in, and that's one of the main reasons why Danny Green was brought onto this team, was to, he had the finals experience and he makes shots. Well, he's supposedly supposed to be making shots, and he was supposed to make that shot, in all honesty. But as LeBron said, he put his trust in him. The rest of the team put his trust in him, and the shot just didn't go in. So, in me, it's kind of that ending of Game 5 basically just sums up the entire playoff run that Danny Green has had. I mean, he hasn't exactly been performing the way that we expect him to, the way the Lakers expected him to. So that's pretty frustrating. And then for Markeith Morris, I mean, as you mentioned, there's like players who just sit in the corner, they get rattled being in the finals experience, and Markieff Morris is one of those. I mean, it seems like he was playing good in some previous games, but in this game, I guess the pressure just got to him, and he was making errant decisions, giving it to AD, who was clearly injured, and not noticing LeBron open in the wing. But I mean, that stuff happens. So
yeah, you live with the results, I guess. That was a good basketball play, as we know LeBron is one to do. And I just want to tell everyone who thinks he should have shot it, no, he shouldn't have shot it.
He could have passed it better, in all honesty. But I mean,
he could have passed it better, but
he was
Danny
looking
Green
shot.
didn't have to shoot it
Yeah.
right away. I've seen people say he could have taken, because Iggy was flying at him. Could have pump fake, took a dribble, could have passed it to KCP in the corner. There were a lot of other things, but that is all in hindsight.
I was trying to observe the situation, considering it was a pretty crucial situation, because it was pretty much championship or not at that point.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw Duncan Robinson also shadowing pretty much. He was chasing. So if Danny Green did pull off that fake, he could have got Iggy set flying, but Duncan Robinson could have just been there to cover it, and it might have just been even a more difficult shot. But I mean, like, who am I to like judge that? And it's
Yeah, it is.
It's very controversial indeed.
And Coach Carl, I don't know about how you feel about this, but I have always been against, just putting someone in for offense in the last minute, putting someone on defense in the last minute. Because up to that point, Caruso was playing. And then they subbed in Danny Green for offense. And I'm like, he was sitting on the bench for a few minutes. Like, can't you give him a little bit more time to work with instead of just the last play? So for me, I think I don't know, but I've really been against the whole put someone in for offense, put someone in for defense, because there seems like there will be a lack of continuity, if you will. But another thing that happened in this game is, yes, Jimmy Butler played really well, but Duncan Robinson showed up making 7 threes. So how big was that, and do you expect him to continue doing that in Game 6?
For me, the Heat really have to move forward with how they've been shooting. We saw it in Game 1 that if you slow down Duncan, Tyler, and Jimmy to an extent, they're gonna get their offense will definitely collapse, as we saw during that big 45-point turnaround during that in between the second and the first to third quarter. So with all else said, it's not that we have to see if he's gonna hold up, but he has. He, Jimmy, and Tyler have to really drag this offense. It's not technically dragging, but considering they've shortened the rotation up, they really have to carry the offense, because considering Bam still isn't 100%, we've noticed it with his lack of lift, especially around the rim. At most times in the past few games, they have to keep this up. It may not be sustainable with how they play in terms of how they get open shots. They can keep it up because the quality of the shots they're getting has been really good. Even though it annoys me as a Laker fan to see them get wide open, considering how they get open, it's just been flawless. Similar to how Clay and Steph have gotten those looks the past X amount of years, the Warriors have made it. So it's just a matter of them putting it in the basket, because the way they've been shooting, at this point, they're gonna just keep it up. They have to just really get someone tagging them in front of their faces at this point.
Yeah, and Duncan Robinson has not really. He has a nice release, but it's awkward in the sense that his arm angle is different, so he gets a lot of fouls. Kuzma jumping up and down in Game 5, protesting that 4-point play, but it is part of what he does. And we did have in Game 5 another Game 1 of the NBA Finals 2 years ago moment. So once again, the mistakes or missed shots or whatever you want to call it of LeBron's teammates overshadowed another epic LeBron James performance. So Dom, I'm curious, he did seem like he was in close-out game form with 40 points, 13 rebounds, shot 6 of 9 from the 3, shot 71% from the field. Is there another notch that he can take this up?
That's something that should be really concerning to think about, because this is year 17 for LeBron, and we're talking about the performances he had 2 years ago. That's 2 years is a lot of time. So as they say, father time's undefeated, and that was the. If we mentioned before that Game 2 was Miami's best shot to win, and they didn't pull it off, we can say the same here now, that Game 5 was probably the best shot for the Lakers to win. And now it could honestly really be up in the air of what could happen, given that LeBron would just pretty much didn't do anything wrong in that game. Shooting 70%, on the amount of shots he had, that's pretty significant. So I don't know if he can pull that off again. So that's concerning. So you should probably look at the rest of the team. The X factors, the quote-unquote X factors of the Lakers. Because, KCP, he's been redeeming himself. Because, as also a Laker fan, we didn't exactly like KCP. But now, it's obviously different now. I think it's pretty obvious who we don't like right now. But, so yeah, the X factors really have to step up. And even those, including Danny Green, including Cruz, and we just have to play more as a team, because LeBron really can't do it on his own anymore, especially in year 17, because it's your body is not wired to do that, really. So if anything, we should expect AD to probably try to be in close-up mode and see if he could pull it off.
Yeah. Well, AD did have 28 points, but it just seemed like a pretty quiet 28, if there's such a thing. Because he didn't really put his stamp on the game. But there we have Game 6 tomorrow. So just quickly, Coach Carl, Lakers or Heat?
I just want the Lakers to finally get through just because if the Heat force Game 7, they're in a world of hurt. So especially considering Anthony Davis is gonna be similar with Bam in terms of health, like they're not gonna be at both 100%. And considering that yes, the Heat shortened rotation may work against them, but right now it's worth magic that all the people they put in, 7 or 8 of them have just been all positives. The Lakers have to get this done or else they are in big trouble.
How about you, Dom? You got the Lakers, you got the Heat, who you got?
Game 6 are crucial games in series, especially the finals. I feel like the Lakers should be able to pull this off finally. Even something that we haven't mentioned was Jimmy Butler played 47 minutes in Game 5. So that's literally just 1 game minute of rest. That is something you shouldn't really be putting yourself through. So I don't know if Jimmy Butler could keep up his level of play. It would be remarkable if he does. But it's something that should be noted. So like the Lakers are still better off when it comes to time management and like fatigue management. So that could be a factor in Game 6 hopefully for them to close it out.
In my opinion, I'm taking the Lakers in Game 6 just because they really don't want to make this go 7. This is a very dangerous Miami Heat team, so you don't want to have that going for you. And I expect LeBron, maybe his stats won't be the same as in Game 5, but I expect the same, and I actually expect a throwback to another Game 6. I expect him to look like Game 6 2012 Eastern Conference playoffs LeBron against the Boston Celtics. So we shall see. Tomorrow it's 7:30 a.m. here in the Philippines, and it's Sunday night in the US. So see you guys there, and we will be reacting to it afterwards as well. So whether they win or whether the Heat win, we will be on the dot. So if you like the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Then if you have any comments, questions, or any suggestions for other videos, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below as well. Then if you haven't already yet, please make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications. It would help us out a lot. Here at Sneaks and Ball, PH.